Hey, Sakshibasa this side. Welcome to another session of Live Mock Interview DSA series. And before we begin, let me introduce today's student. So today's student's name is Sourabh Kumar. He has volunteered to go through the whole process of the DSA round, and he will be interviewed by our in-house GFG mentor Yash Dwivedi. So it's my pleasure to invite both of them. And if, hi Rajiv, thank you for commenting. Keep commenting, guys. I would suggest that you focus on solving the questions and discussing the solutions in the comments, rather than focusing on other noises or other things. Just focus on the solution, and it will be a really good, engaging session then. And you guys will learn and can also see how kind of an environment of how the real interview looks like, right? So, 17 people are live. I know more will be joining. I'm always glad to see some of the comments. So, hi Anish. Yes, Rajiv. It's DSA placement series. Not sure placement. Like it's like the DSA round, which always happens in almost every placement session. Yeah. So we kind of try to simulate that. Hi Kupala. Okay. So DSA Java में 1% भी logic नहीं बन रहे. Okay. So Sparsh, if you want to volunteer for the mock interview, there are links in the YouTube description to check it out. You can fill it, and somebody from the team can will contact you. Good evening, Ajay. All right, great. So, without delaying any further, let me invite Saurav and Yash to the stream, and let's start the DSA round. Hi, Saurav. Hi, Yash. How are you?
Hello, sir.
Great. Okay, so Yash, you can take the lead from here, and you
Sure,
can start the session. Yeah.
sure. So, Saurabh, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. So myself Sourabh Kumar, and I am in computer science undergraduate from Jambheshwar University of Science and
Uh,
Technology, Hisar.
सौरभ your voice is low.
And
Your voice is a bit low. सौरभ आपकी आवाज़ कम आ रही है, थोड़ी आवाज़ कम आ रही थी. मे बी आप हेडफोन्स रिमूव कर सकते हो, एक बार ट्राई कर लो. एक बार बोलना.
is that okay, sir? Now,
Better, but it can be a little better. Yeah.
okay. Now, if I like do this,
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Now
it
it,
is.
it is better. Yeah. Okay. Please continue. So,
okay. So myself Sourabh Kumar, and I am a computer science undergraduate at Jambheshwar University of Science and Technology, Hisar. And my overall CGPA is around 7.5. And apart from my BTech course subjects, I have also learned some technology like Merge and made few projects on it too. And I love problem solving, solves a lot of DSA questions and like participating in contests, online contests. And I also interned as a teaching assistant where like my job was to uh, s- uh, like help students to code and debug their code. So that was my role there. So that's it pretty much about me, sir.
So I can see your resume. So can you tell some of the projects that you have made? Can you tell us something about that? Them?
Sure, sir. So I would like to tell my project Ask GGU. Basically, it is a question answer app. What is there is once a user is authenticated, then he can see all the questions that are like asked by all the previous people, and those questions, and also they can put up their own questions. Basically, whatever queries they have, they can solve like each other's query and like share their each other's knowledge. Basically, and this is built using Mern stack. Basically, uses React.js as a frontend, and backend is built using Node.js and Express, while the MongoDB is used as backend. So that was basic idea about my project. Basically, sharing knowledge about each other.
Just to ask you a few questions on this. So, why did you use Mongo as your database? Why not MySQL or something like this?
Yeah. So basically, it is like known that when you have the like scattered data, like not more of a direct relationship between data, then we use MongoDB. So even though my data is not like that much big and scattered, but still I want to learn MongoDB, and so I thought it would be good opportunity to implement that, and that could be like good opportunity to use in that project. So I thought, yeah, let's go with MongoDB.
And besides this, did you face any challenges while implementing this project?
Yes, the main challenge I would say like designing what kind of data I have to store and what kind of like th- uh, basically container how I contain those data and like fetch those data because it was using REST API. So I have to like manage which data needs to be stored where and when to be put there. So that can confuse, like make confusion when not handled properly. So that was the hard part I felt. Otherwise, it was like going smooth.
uh, like uh, what I will say is that with this project, this all the features are very basic. So have you thought about adding more features to your web application or something?
Yes, sir. Actually, we can add many features. There are like no limits to it. Main feature is that everyone can put up the question and answer. Like, then what can we do is like we can add upload feature, download features, like which
Not
questions
this,
are
but
like.
this project, this particular project, such projects are pretty much common, right? A lot of people make such projects. So, it is basically, I think, a Q&A type of a web application or a website, right? So, what will how will you make your project different from others? This is what I'm asking. Like, what type of features would you like to add, or what type of things will you like to have a community or like these? Like, what is your
Yes,
thought?
we can like privatize this thing. For example, if we have a college, then we can like customize that product for particular organization and build according to their needs. Because generally, all the projects are very general, like one two features and all is done. So
No, no, I'm asking about your projects. Like, what have you thought that what features you can put so that it is unique? Like, it is
I
your
have
project.
thought of like including some in between features. For example, if two persons are question answering with each other, then I can include some inbuilt private chat features also, so that they can, if they are like want to connect with each other and uh, like brainstorm on a particular idea, particular they can like connect with each other.
How would you
That,
do this? One to one chat. What will you use to implement this feature?
yeah. So by for implementing these features, first of all, those two should be authenticated, right? And then what can I do is I can create a particular room for the chat feature. For example, there will be a room for particular two people. Those two will be put in a like in MongoDB. I will store those two is separately. Their messages and their conversation can be stored separately,
Perfect.
and that in that way I can like privatize their message feature for them only, and in that
Okay.
way I can do for multiple people also.
Okay. So, without further ado, I have shared a Google Doc link with you. So, can you please open it
Okay.
and please share your screen at the same time as well, so that we can be get ahead with the DSA questions.
Yes, sure. I'm sharing my screen.
Uh, Yash, you can also share the screen. Or you can also tell him like where to share from. Because I think that
Uh, Saurabh, I think you can share the screen, right? The share option is available for you.
okay.
I'm
Yes,
like
yes,
sharing it now. It is visible.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, your screen is visible.
So this is Google Doc.
Uh, if you'll open, so if you'll go up, so in on the very first page, I have written a question, right?
Okay. Just
Okay,
this.
so let us read this question. So in this question, what we have to do is we have been given a grid which consists of zeros, that is the water, and ones, which denotes the land. You have to find the number of islands that are present. Okay, so a group of connected ones is called an island, right? Also, you have to note one thing, that an island is surrounded by water and is formed by connecting adjacent lands horizontally, vertically, or diagonally. That is in all the eight directions. That is four directions: up, down, top and up, down, left and right. And apart from this, all the diagonal directions. So you can move in the all eight directions, and in this way you can form an island. Uh, if you will talk about the sample test case, so let us take a look at the first sample test case. So in this, if I have given you a 2D matrix, so you can see that in this 2D matrix, you will be getting one island only, right? If you take a look at the second example, so I have drawn the second example as well for you. So if you look at this in a matrix form, so you can see that one 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 and then two twos. This will make one island, and after that there is a single one which will make another island. So for the second test case that I have given to you, you will have two islands, right? So in this problem, I'll be giving you a matrix and the rows and the columns, that is n and m, and you have to do is you have to tell me that with this grid that is containing zeros and ones, that is water and island, what is the total number of islands in this, right?
Okay.
So is the question clear to you?
Yes, sir. So basically, this island is like is isolated and connect like surrounded by zeros, and that we consider as the water. And so, what if only one is present, like on a adjacent? I mean, in the last row or last column, only one is present. So, is it considered to be an island? For
Yes,
example,
right.
yeah. For example, like this one is one and all here is zeros. So
So this will
that
be considered that as an island, right? This will be
okay,
considered.
okay, okay. That's good. So so what I think is that we can use like any DFS technique, that's for search for this thing. And what I can do is, as soon as I found a one, then it can be like island, and it should not be like previously also like traversed by my traversed previously. So once I found one, then I can simply like do a depth first search. In depth first search, what we do is that's for the BFS, anything we can use. What we do is we go on traversing all in eight directions as long as we find ones, right? And once we find zero, that means it is the end of that island. So we will stop there. And as long as we can mark the all the ones for that particular island, we
If
will
you
mark
find
all those ones.
anywhere zero, will you stop? Or because let's
No,
say
no.
that for the oh, yeah.
Okay, no, or and for example, there are like if in the first, second example, there are three ones upper side and two ones on the lower side, right? So if like I am done through all the directions for all the ones, then only I will stop. For example, for this one, I will get maybe here zero, right? So I will stop here, but not stop whole DFS because there can be like in this direction also one in this direction. So when I get this zero, all the directions I get zero or at the end of the matrix, then only I will stop, and I will stop that particular recursion, and that will be my one island. And as similarly for second one, I will like go through this. When I reach this one, then I will do the same process again, and again mark all the ones which are in all direction connected. In this way, number of time I will go through that DFS. That will be my number of islands for this matrix.
Okay,
I think.
so if you'll use this approach using TFS, so what will be your time complexity and space complexity?
Yeah. So basically, I will use a visited array for marking all those ones which are visited. So as I can see, I will only visit, not visit like, I mean in a loop for those matrix elements, because once I like if there is visited, then I will go back. So I think everyone will be visited twice. Uh, I mean not twice, but yeah, it will be like linear time complexity because I will visit them. If it is like visited, then I will mark visited. Otherwise, I will go back. So it will be linear, but I will be using 2D matrix for marking those visited elements. So
Like in terms of N and M, can you tell me the time complexity for this in terms of
yes, sir.
N and
It
M?
will be, as you are saying, it will be n into cross m matrix, right? So it will be time complexity of n cross m, and I will use a visited array that will be also 2D matrix, and that will store what elements are visited. So space complexity will be also same n cross m, big of n cross m, for storing each one either
So
in
let us
visited.
start for this problem. Let us start writing the code. So I'll be giving you a matrix. You can say M, and I've given you N and M. So you can make a function only. You'll be implementing only the function part for this problem. So let us see like how you can implement this.
Okay. So basically, I have to just implement that function which will return the number of items. Okay.
Yeah.
So for this, I will be returning number of items. So this will be so this is n cross n. Okay. So that is all I have given, right?
Yeah. Right. You can just click on this got it so that others can see the question.
So I will make a visited array, 2D, let's say vector for storing all. I will be using C++ like code, okay? And
No problem. You can use any language.
yeah, so that will be
Meanwhile, while you're writing code, so just don't what I want you to tell you is that whatever you are writing, you can while writing the code, you can explain your approach as well, so that I know that what you are doing, right?
Okay, okay. Basically, what I've done is until now is that I'm just making a visited array so that I can store what are the like elements are visited or not. And initially, all will be false because I haven't visited anything.
Yeah, right.
So that will be here. And now what I am doing is I will iterate through every like element, and once I found a one, then I will run a DFS from that element, considering it as a source, and run it on all the eight directions, and marking all those ones which are connected. So here I am checking if it is not visited. This current element is not visited, and I will also check
Right.
if it is one or not. Okay. So
Also, one more thing, is there any special name for checking such kind of things in a graph or a matrix?
like checking what visited or not.
Like you are counting the number of islands. So, uh, assuming that this is a graph or a 2D matrix that I have given to you, and you are counting all the bunch of ones that are together. That is the all the islands. So, is there any special name for this?
I, I nothing comes to my mind, sir, yet of this thing.
Okay, okay, no problem. Uh, like whatever you are writing, you can just keep on explaining. Okay,
So here what I have done is if this position is not visited, that means for suppose I have reached here and it is not visited. That means and it is also a one. That means it can be a island start and it is also not visited. So that means it can be my island which is not visited yet. So what I will do is now, for example, I have reached here. That means I have come to a point which can be a island. I mean it is a island. So I will increase my answer plus plus. I have found one island. For example, if I like simulate from this one, I have reached here. Okay, it's zero, but it is not.
but you are just counting an answer plus plus. You haven't called any function or anything.
Yeah. But basically, what I am doing is I will marking. Actually, I haven't written any DFS function yet. What I am doing is, for example, I am coming here. Zero is not like starting of any island, so I will skip that. Okay. Then I will like come here. This is one, and also it is not visited. So that means it can be a starting of the island. So what I am doing is I am incrementing my answer here. I am incrementing it
Right.
for all this island. What I am going to do is I will send that visited uh, 2D vector to my DFS function, and I will mark all those visited. So next time when I will visit this one, it will skip this one. It will also skip this one. Skip, and then I will reach this one. Then I will increment my answer again because it can be another island. So I am making an answer here, and I will like removing other duplicate answer in my DFS. That is my approach here.
You're right. So
So
let's implement the DFS function.
yes, sir. So here I will first of all mark this one visited. And here I will now mark all the in a direction all the like elements to be visited so that they don't come into another duplicate island. So I'm calling it DFS now.
What will you be passing in this DFS function?
Yes, sir. So I am like marking all those visited as false. So I will first part. I mean I will first visited. I will need my graph because that will be needed to traverse all the
You can
elements.
write. You can write the code. You can continuously keep on writing the code and explain the part.
Okay. So yeah. So this function is be marking all the visited. So first of all, I will pass all the fast graph, fast mouse.
You can just write grid for it, not GR.
Sorry, sir.
You can write grid for it, not GR, because I had given you grid, right?
Okay.
Uh, like you have taken grid in that
Okay. Okay.
in the
Okay.
main
Fine, sir.
function.
Fine. Sorry, sir. I thought. Okay. Yeah, that is my related. And I will need a source from which I will start
Oh,
my DFS.
right. Yeah.
And one thing to note here is also I have like call by reference. There is visited with call by reference. If I don't do that, then it will be like it will not store permanently for all those recursive calls.
One more thing, like you have taken the source. So, uh, like, is what is your source here?
Yes, sir. The source here is once I found a element which is one, I mean it can be start of the island and it is not visited, then I will consider that as a source. And in DFS, I will recursively change my source in 8 directions. So that my source which is like start of that island.
Uh, like you in the DFS function, what you have done is you have passed n and m. So you'll be passing n and m, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you
So
have
they
passed the
will
size and you are taking I comma j, right? Yeah.
yes, sir. So
This
I
is
will be
what I
passing.
was saying.
Yes, sir.
Right. This is
I
what
will
I was
pass.
pointing out.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, sir. So this will be my because it's 2D matrix, so we need two indexes, right? So
Yes, you
yeah.
you need I and j to denote your source vertex. Right. After
Yes,
this,
sir.
like yes, after this, what we'll be doing?
Yes, sir. I will be like first of all, I will mark that visited, right? And once I
But you have
visited, then
already yeah, let's consider one thing. So you have already marked the I comma j index of the matrix as one as true, right? And you are marking it again. So do you think that you should not mark it in the uh, there, or you should what you
here,
should do? Right? Yeah, you are doing this particular thing repeatedly, right? So you can
yeah,
avoid
I can like remove this from here because it will mark here once. So yeah, that can be like skipped.
yeah, you can go ahead with your
Yeah. So here it will be marked there only. Okay. So now I have to like traverse in all direction from this ij source and mark all those other ones also visited. So for this thing, I think I can use in two arrays x and y that will like guide my directions where to go. So let's with this. So it will guide me to which direction I have to go. So right. So like if I go right, then I will add 0 1, and if I go left, these are depicting all the directions from where I can go from current one.
right.
And if I go that means I'm going up. 0 1, that means I'm going down. 1 1, I'm going in upper diagonal. Uh, yeah, upper diagonal. Similarly, there will be -1, 1, and -2, -1, and +1, -1. That will be my all directions in which I will have to go. Okay. So now what I can do is, okay, my current source is I and j. Right now, I will use these x y to find my next position. So my next, let's suppose I am
So
next
basically,
position.
you will with this use of k, you will be going in all the 8 directions, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. So like otherwise, what I have to do is like I have to write 8 times that the DFS I plus one, I plus minus one. That will be like more complicated and very long. So this is like a good way to if you want to iterate into directions, then you can simply store it in array and find next positions according to adding or minus those x y's.
Before moving on, so do you think that your what like do you have a base condition for your DFS function, or it will run for infinite times? What do you think?
No, I will have those conditions. Basically, in the this loop here in this loop, I will check all those things. For example, if my next position is visited already visited, or it is out of my matrix, I mean I'm out of my grid, then I will not visit that, or it is zero, then I will not visit it. These three conditions I will check in this loop only. And if
What
any
about
one
I
of
and J? Or do you think that you can just check right after the DFS function, or you should be checking in this K for this particular
basically I
index
will
I comma J?
yes sir.
Let's say if this I comma J was visited, so will you mark it true again? Will you mark it true again?
Basically, it will always be unvisited because I am only traversing for this DFS if this IJ is not visited. So when I reach
Right,
here, it will always be unvisited. And for the next position, I will check all those things in this loop. So there will not be any problem in recursion. So
right.
shall I continue, sir?
Yes.
Okay. So that will be my next row position, and this will depict my next column position. Now I have to check something so that my recursion don't breaks out. Let's check. So if annex R, that means the next. First of all, I'm checking if it is in my grid or not. So for having it in grid,
So basically, you are checking that whether or not your index that you'll be taking is valid or not.
yes, sir. I am checking if next position is valid, then only I will run my recursion. Otherwise, I will continue. So if any of those, like if any one position condition is not like passing, then it will stop here and DFS will go back, so that I can
Uh,
not infinitely looping in this. So
okay.
for this should be in grid. These four conditions should be met if next position wants to be in grid. So this will check if next position is in my grid or not. Now I have to check if it is like island or not. If it is one, then only it is island. So and one more thing, sir, it is important
Yes.
that we check this condition first, and then check if my grid has one or not. Because if like, for example, let me show you. If I check this thing here,
Because in the other case, you what you can do is if you'll not check n x and r, then in that case there will be a problem, right?
yeah, they can be like out of bound for this grid. So that can be a problem. I have faced that problem many times. So that is one thing you have to like consider it. First of all, check if it is grid or not. Then only like reference those indexes. So that will this will check if it is my if next position is island or not. And lastly, let's check if it is visited or not. So if it is not visited, then only I will run my DFS.
Yeah, right.
Now all conditions are like done with. I am done with that. If all those conditions satisfy, what are those conditions? First of all, next position should be in the grid. Second thing, that grid should contain next position should contain one. That's only it will be considered as a violent. Third thing, it should not be visited. Otherwise, I will be like going on a loop. All conditions satisfy. So let's go for a DFS again and mark all those visited. So DFS, grid.
Okay, let's do one thing. What will be your space complexity for this problem? Like the time complexity you have already told n cross m. What will be your space complexity for this problem?
Okay. Okay. So space complexity will be my n cross m for visited, and for each recursion, I am like using this one. So
Okay,
it
so
depends on
let me say that we can easily do it using a visited array. But can we do this problem, or can we use this approach, DFS approach, without using a visited array?
Okay, without using a visited array.
Right. So you can just delete the visited array part. Like, let's say that you have to do this in using you are doing this using DFS in order of one space. So let us first remove the visited array. After this, what you have to do is you have to do this in order of one space, right? So you are not allowed for this problem. You are not allowed to use the visited array. Now, how will you approach this question?
Okay,
And is
so
it possible to do this?
okay, so first of all, is it allowed to change the grid? Like I can manipulate those elements, grid elements.
No.
Okay, so grid elements can't be changed, and we have to do it in constant space.
Yeah, you do not have to use any visited array.
Okay, let's see.
How can we do this problem? Let's say we are not using a visited array. You can just remove the visited array part because it seems that using the visited array we can do this. But can we do this? Can we apply this DFS using the without using any extra space? That is without using the visited array. Because why the reason why we what is the reason why we take a visited array? First of all, tell me about this.
So that I we don't stuck into loop and we mark all those element visited if I have
Yeah,
like
right.
visited.
So that we do not go into infinite recursion, right? Infinite number of recursive calls. So that is why we use a recursion. So, but what I'm saying is, it is very easy to do this using a visited array. But now, can we do this? First of all, first question is that can we do this using a without using a visited array that is in constant space? And second question is, like, if yes, then how?
Okay, so yeah, so let me think. So,
You can think let you can look at the test cases and you can think about it, like how we can do this using a without using in any extra space or a visited array, because in this case, like, first of all, can we do this? You have to think this, and if we can do this, then we will try to approach it, right?
so it is clear that we have to find a way so that our recursion don't get into infinite loop, and we don't use any constant, I mean extra space to mark those. So question is how
Basically,
to.
now whenever you will be calling a recursive call for any cell, so in this case you will not be knowing that whether you have visited it or not. So there can be two problems that can arise. First of all, you can go into an infinite recursion. That is possible, that is definitely possible. But another thing can be here, that let's say you skip that part as well. but in but there can be it can happen that you might end up counting the same island for a number of times, right? Because you don't know you have visited that particular cell or not. So
Yes, yes.
you have to tell me, like, can we do this? And if we can do this, then how we can do this? So if you want, you can look at the second test case that I had given you, and you can check up on that.
Okay, I will be using
Whatever you
syntax.
are thinking, you can keep on telling your approach so that I know that what you are thinking, right?
Okay.
Whatever is coming in your mind, you can think out loud so that I know that what you are in which direction you are thinking.
So basically, I'm thinking like if there is any way, for example, there is one. So like for this one, can I like some way mark this one also one, but not in like recursion, in some linear way, and but we cannot like change the value, so that would be difficult to. Okay. One more thing. What if I check the elements around a certain element? For example, this is one, right? So what if I check something like check all these surroundings and make something out of it? Should I increase the number of island, or should not I increase the number of islands? Uh, Something like that.
You can do anything, but the time complexity should be n cross n, and space should be order of one. Like, without knowing that how whether a cell is visited or not, how can you avoid the condition that you will be going into infinite recursion, and how can you avoid the condition that you end up counting the same island a number of times.
Yes,
Now this is the main part of this question that is left, because the using the visited array, it was pretty easy for us to implement it,
yes,
right?
sir. Yes,
You
sure.
just called it, and you know that you whether you have visited the I comma jth index or not. But now here is the tricky part, or here's the main part of this question. Like, there is a challenge with us, that can we implement it using without using the extra space, without using visited. Have you ever done this? Like, in have you ever called DFS without using any visited array?
No, sir.
Uh,
Most of the cases I use visited. I don't remember any like cases where I don't have visited.
Okay, so do you think that we can, like, let's say in general manner, is it possible? The question that I am asking is that, first of all, the not this question, not the question that I've given to you, a general question, that for a DFS, can we call a DFS, or can we do a DFS traversal without using a visited array? Like, in some cases, like, for some questions, so is it possible to do it without a visited array?
I think that we can do it if we have like some add-on conditions on the questions. Like if this condition satisfied, then we cannot move forward for those adjacent elements. If that kind of condition is there, then we can stop DFS. For example, there is one, right. So if I have a condition like all are zeros in all eight directions, so I will stop the recursion. So in that way, I don't have to need visit it, right? That could be
Yeah,
like
right.
one case, something like that.
So
In
can we
that,
call this, like, if let's say that I do not want the grid to be modified, so in that case I cannot call a DFS, right? Or can I do this? First of all, first question first, that in DFS, can I do a DFS traversal for, in general, for some questions without using the extra space, without using visited? Can I do this for, let's say, any general question? Is it possible? Or you always have to, like, is it like, are you saying that for a DFS you always have to use a visited array? Is it true, or there can be some exceptions to this?
no, sir, there definitely can be exception depending on type of
Okay,
question we
so
have.
for this question, do you think that we can do this without using without changing the grid?
I think, sir, there can be a way, depending on checking ones and zero around a certain element. I think it can be possible if I like put in mind into it.
Basically, if you'll see, so it's not possible, right? Without modifying the grid, it is not possible, because without modifying the grid, you will be going into, either you will be going into an infinite recursion, or you'll be counting a particular island for a number of times, right? Because if you have visited it, then how, then you eventually you will call DFS in eight directions, and it might happen that can come to the same index, and that will be one, and you'll be counting it again, so you'll be stuck in an infinite loop, right? So this is the answer that I wanted, but you got confused, right?
Yes, sir, definitely.
So this is the straightforward answer, right? Because if
Okay.
you think that for a particular cell, you call DFS in all eight directions. After that, if you are not modifying the grid, so without that, how can you do this, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. One more question. One more thing. Like, is there any other way to solve this problem?
Okay.
Can we
So
do this
without
without
using recursion,
without using recursion, or without using DFS? Can we do this question without using a DFS?
let me think, sir. So I am thinking about some dynamic programming if I can apply that kind of approach. Going through it, I will like draw some case. Then I'm thinking like if I can like manage all the ones and zero from one direction and check if certain element is included in the island or
Okay,
not
so
from.
let's talk about something. So what is the opposite of DFS? Like DFS is depth first search. So what is the opposite of DFS?
Is breadth first search.
Right. So can we do this using a BFS?
Okay.
Can we count the number of islands in this given graph or a matrix using the BFS approach?
Yes, definitely, sir. We have just need to mark all those things, right? So I will be marking, for example, this one is there. So what if do is BFS is that I will like go here. If it is which is, then I will like
You'll be
mark this
marking
one.
it. You will be going in all eight directions. That is perfect. But how will you be counting the islands? Marking is correct, but by using BFS, how will you count the number of islands? That is the part that I wanted to.
Because it can be like counted multiple time for it for particular island
Why
because
will if you will use a visit like will you use a visited array here or you will not use a visited array?
sir I will still use visited array here also because we
Right,
are going
because
with
without it, it won't be possible, right?
yeah right because again we will be like going through same direction again.
So how will you do this, right? Like how will you count the number of islands? That is my question. Using BFS, how will you count the number of islands?
Sir, I
You have
think
done
it
this
won't
using
be
DFS.
possible using
Yeah.
DSA. I don't think it is possible because the thing is the islands are connected and moved like it's going forward, backward in all directions. So in one step, I can only like have a reach to all the adjacent right in BFS. But it is possible that in one shot we can mark all those forward also. We have to mark all those forward once also. So for that we have
So
to go in the depth. So I don't think it will be possible for BFS to do.
like do you think that let's try and run a BFS on this case only. Let's try and run a BFS on this case and see that
B-
whether it will work or not. You can take this case. You can take this second test case. Let's take the second test case. You can just remove the code part from here, so that we can have a dry run on it.
Okay, I will deleting. Okay.
You're right.
So this is our second input, and we,
The
now we
number
will
of islands is two, right? So you are saying that we cannot do it using DFS. So what I'm telling you is let's try and run a DFS on this, BFS on this. Like you can try and run a BFS on this, and let's see that whether we can do it using a BFS or not.
okay. So for BFS, we have to pick the sources from where we like going to uh, like doing the BFS. So for that one, we have to pick some ones. The problem is here is like which ones want to pick here. For example, like if I pick one here, and like if I pick all ones, then it will be like wastage of time complexity because they for all these ones, uh, I will be like doing a BFS, but it is not necessary here. So so let's like first of all let include we will use the queue for BFS, right? Because queue helps in
That is
this
perfect. Like that is not something that I'm asking. I know that you know that queue will be used, but like you are saying that we cannot do it using a BFS. But why can we? If we cannot do it using a BFS, then what is your reason for that? That is something that I want to know.
okay, sir. See the
Whatever
same
you are
problem.
thinking, you can.
Yes, sir. So
Yeah.
the same problem actually how will I count? For example, if I like include all those ones for my BFS, now I am like expecting this one to mark all those surrounding ones as visited, but I am not going in depth, right? Because it is BFS search. For this one, like it will be marked like this will mark, but I won't be marking these one, right? Because it is BFS. And similarly, like I count one, okay, this one is one island, but for again this one, I will going through all these surrounding ones and zeros. So There is no way I can count in that simple BFS. That's why it is not possible.
Uh, are you sure that we cannot do this using a BFS? Like what you are saying, that what you are saying is that will be only covering the surrounding part, right? The first connections of a particular node, right? Or in all the eight directions, you are saying that we can check in the all eight directions. After that, you are saying that you will need a DFS to go in the depth part, right?
Yes, yes.
So don't you
Because
think that the
in
BFS
BFS
can do
only,
this? Yeah, yeah. Go
but
ahead.
then it will be like inserting DFS in the BFS instead of we will use only DFS. That would be like merging those two even it is not needed. That kind of thing because we have to go in depth for marking for particular island. That's why I'm saying if we are using BFS, then what's the point? Because we have to like apply the logic of DFS and mark the depth of all those islands. So there is no point in using BFS here. Yes, sir.
Like let's try and do a dry run. Like what I want you is to, whichever node you think will be pushed first into your queue, so let's push it. Like if you see say that assuming a zero based indexing, you say that the index that is 0 comma 1 that will be pushed first, right? You can highlight that, right?
Okay.
So you'll be pushing that. After that, what you'll be doing, right? After that,
So after that, yeah, it will be like marking this one and this one because these are only in a direction possibility, right? And this will
will
be
you just
pushed
mark
into
this
my queue.
these will you just mark these cells, or you will do anything else?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying because I have already inserted all the ones in my BFS. So that will be like ambiguity because I have already those in my BFS and like visited.
Uh, but like I want you to do a dry run. Like what I'm saying is let's put this 0 comma 1 index, that is the first one that we can see in the first row. Let's put it in a queue. So assuming that we put it into a queue, so after that what will happen, in you will search in the all eight directions for this particular index, right? Because this is not visited. So you'll push it into a queue and you'll mark this one, 0 comma 1 index as visited. After this, you'll go out in the all eight directions and you'll be what you'll do, right? You'll go in the all eight directions and you'll try to put the index in all the index that are one, right? This is what you will do.
1 second, sir. I'm thinking about this inside process of queue. Like, give me a moment, sir.
Whatever you're thinking, you can speak out loud so that I also know.
Sure. Uh, Problem is in counting, and yeah, so
Whatever you're thinking, you can just think out loud again, because if you'll not do this, then
yes, sir.
I'll not know that.
Yeah, so the thing is, if I will be pushing all those ones and marking those visited. So, like first of all, like this one pushed out from the queue, right? Now I have to figure out if I have to like increase uh, the island number or not. Let's say I have increased that island and now I have one island. So, and all these ones are also present in the queue as for now. Now I am like here. So
Okay,
let me
so
check.
did you solve this question earlier? Like this particular question, did you solve this question earlier, or any variation of this question, or similar question?
Yeah, I have solved like these kinds of question variation, but I don't think I have used BFS for any of those.
So, so for this, like I'll tell you, so you can use a BFS approach. Okay, so BFS is
What I
possible,
am
and
reading on the yeah. Okay.
what you said was that BFS is not possible, right? After thinking for some time, like 10 or 15 minutes, you said that BFS approach was not possible, but BFS approach is also possible. Like for this, if DFS is possible, then why not BFS, right? For this particular question, because you are saying that BFS won't be, like, you will be checking it there. That is not the case, right? Because what BFS will do is BFS is a level order traversal, and it will definitely what you will be doing is you will be pushing. like whatever your stack was doing or recursion was doing, right? Either iterative DFS or your recursive DFS, whatever they were doing, like in this space, only the data structure is changed, right? So only instead of going to the depth, you are going level by level. So for this case, you can definitely use a BFS, right? Using a visited array and a queue, you can definitely apply a BFS approach for this problem. And like if you had tried to do the dry run, what you did was, like you were not thinking in the correct direction, like you were not applying. What I'll say is, for this problem, you were very much comfortable with DFS, but if you had tried to dry run a little bit on the second test case that I have given you, so you will see that only two islands will be counted and everything will be done like as simple or as easily as it was done by your DFS DFS. But if you had think a little bit more, then you would have easily got through the answer, right? If like what I'll say is, uh, you were thinking a little bit too much, or you were wanting BFS to behave like a DFS. So this is what was wrong. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So one more thing, like before moving on, so one more question that I like to ask. So what we usually do is, let's write the first two lines of a C++ code. What are the first two lines that you write for a C++ code? Can you write that for us?
Yeah. So basically, there
Just
are
write
two.
just write there in the doc.
Yeah,
Just
basically,
write the
I
first two
use
lines.
these kind of things. If I like doing done coding, then I can use this one to include all the libraries.
Yeah, right. You can just write that, and then I'll ask my question that I want to ask.
Or otherwise, I can include particular library which I needed. So these two things I use generally. Like,
Right. So okay. So what I want to ask is, like, why do we use a namespace here? What is the significance of using a namespace?
so namespace basically defines a group here. For example, this stand std namespace is defines the output stream and input stream, which you use for printing and taking the output and input. So this is defined in this std namespace. That's why you using this. To remove ambiguity, we use this namespace.
And what is the reason why we use this bit slash std c++.h? You were telling this?
Uh, this thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Basically, I don't know the inner meaning, but it says just include all the libraries which are in standard C++. I mean compiler which like behaves.
So
So I
does
don't know.
it include only the C++ libraries or additional, like for the GNU C++ compiler? Does it include only that much, or it includes additional functionalities as well?
Well, it includes all type of like namespaces, all type of function which we uses.
Like
Uh,
like if you like since you're a competitive programmer, so say is uh, something that I'll say is that like underscore bits pop count, right? All these types of functions, you also use this, and this is not in C++, right? So this is in this own special library. Okay. So that is it from my side. So do you have any questions?
yes, sir. I would like to ask if there is like particular any suggestion to communication or my logic building. If anything, like I can improve on.
Like I'll be giving you a feedback, but besides wanting a feedback, like, do you have any other questions?
Uh, no, sir.
No, you don't have any questions, right? So, like in the feedback part, first of all, what I'll say is that whenever the interviewer is asking that, do you want to ask something? So, will you do this there also?
No, sir. Actually, I'm thinking like what role is there? There is no role and no position. So I was like, what should I ask? Otherwise, I ask like questions. For example, what could be my role in this company, or how is the work culture
Okay,
there,
okay.
or like how will be. I will asking those questions, but I like what there is no role, so I thought, what could I ask?
Okay,
That's why.
okay. So coming back to the feedback part. So I knew that once you started explaining the question. So I knew that you knew that how to do this using a visited arrow, right? But this is something that we always try to promote at GFG. Like whatever problem of the days we do or whatever we do, we try to tell that never just mug up the approach. Like if you talk about this, like let's say if someone has solved variation of this question, that is the find the number of islands in a grid, right? So if someone has done it using a DFS, that is perfect. But once you do this using one approach, so never stop there, right? Always keep exploring. Like, can we do this using a BFS? Can we apply another approach? Like you suggested that, can we use a DP? So we don't know that whether it is possible or not, right? You don't know that whether it is possible or not. But what we want is, like, what we suggest is, this is what we suggest, that whenever you are trying to solve a question, so try, once you have done it using a particular approach, and try to see that can that question be done using other approaches as well, right? So you got stuck, right? And you just gave it a little bit too early. You could have thought a little bit more. Like, what this told me was, you didn't know BFS that much well, right? Because you were not able to figure out like how to push in queue and all these things. So this is something that I want to highlight, that just try to do a dry run. When I'm giving you time to do a dry run, then you could have done a dry run, right?
Yes, yes. Actually, it took me a
So this
surprise bit of it. That's why it was like that.
so
But
so
yeah,
if you talk about organizations like Google, so what happens there? Basically, you are given one question. At times, what happens is, you are just given one or two questions, or one and a half questions, and in that one question only, they'll give you something like, the constraint will be very low. After that, they'll tighten the constraint, and after that, like, they'll modify the problem for the second time, or that is your third attempt, and in that, they'll say that, okay, you cannot do this, or this is another thing that you have to do in this problem. So this is how organizations like these try to us. Okay, so you can, all of you who are watching this video, even, or you are giving this interview, so always try to think that whether a new approach is possible, right? If you thought that DFS is possible, so whenever you are doing such problems, so you always think that whether BFS is also possible or not, right? So this is it from my side. So I think that Akshay sir can take lead from here.
Yes, thank you so much, Yash and Saurabh, for doing this for our audience, and they will also get some idea, right? And first, I just want to say that, Saurabh, good luck for your placements, and you should see the video again and see if you can get some insights out of it. Okay, and Yash, as always, thank you so much for taking this up.
yes, I would like
Thank
to
you,
Yes.
sir.
say that this is like very good initiative for GC, because third tier college students don't even get like one two interviews, and they directly go to big interviews and they get nervous and are rejected. So
Yeah.
this kind of
Yeah.
thing, like all people get to know, like this kind of environment is there, all those cross questioning.
Yes,
So it's
definitely.
like
And you can
this
also
is very
see yourself, after you can watch the video, you can see how what's your body language if you want to improve somewhere, how you're putting things across. So it can also help out there, right? Plus the time
So I have
spent
also
being
given
part of
interviews,
it.
and like solving question in an interview and solving in your like private room is like two different, very two different things. Even if you know the question, then you will like forget those things in interview. So that's
Yeah, yeah.
this
And
is like
somebody was in the audience saying that you already knew the questions. You know that, Saurav and Yash, that we never share questions because the whole idea is that it should be authentic. Otherwise, what's the point of doing this thing, right?
yes.
So we never share the questions, all the geeks. So, take care. Thank you for joining us and good luck, Saurav, and thank you, Yash, again. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
All right, geeks. So that was it. Thanks for staying till the end. And if any one of you want to share your interview experience, you have a place somewhere, and you want to share your interview process with the community, or if you want to feature and go through the same live mock DSA round as today, so there are two forms in the YouTube description. Check it out, fill it out, and the team will get back to you. And yeah, stay safe. I hope almost everyone is vaccinated, but if not, just get it done. And take care, Akshay Basu this side. Keep learning, keep growing,